How to write domain using interval notation in algebra. Imagine you're trying to find out which input values a function can accept without causing errors or undefined situations. That's what the domain is all about. When you write the domain in interval notation, you're giving a clear picture of all the possible x values that work for the function. First, you need to understand what makes a value valid for the function. For example, if the function involves dividing by, then cannot be 0 because division by 0 is undefined. Or, if the function involves taking the square root, then the number inside the square root must be 0 or positive, because you cannot take the square root of a negative number in real numbers. Next, find the points where the function's rules change. These are called critical points. For example, zeros of denominators or points where the expression inside a square root equals 0. These points help you split the number line into parts where the function behaves consistently. Now, when you write the domain in interval notation, you use brackets and parentheses. Brackets mean you include that point in your set. Parentheses mean you exclude that point. For example, if the function is valid for all except at equals to and x equals 5, then the domain is written as the union of three parts. From -infinity up to 2, not including 2, from 2 to 5, not including either point, and from 5 to infinity. So it looks like this. -infinity to 2 with a parenthesis at 2, union, 2 to 5 with parentheses at both points, union, 5 to infinity with a parenthesis at infinity. Infinity and -infinity are special because they are not actual numbers. When you write intervals that go on forever, you always use parentheses because infinity cannot be included. For example, from -infinity to a number, you write it as open at -infinity and closed, or open at the other end, depending on the situation. In many linear functions, the domain is all real numbers, which is written as -infinity to infinity. But if there are restrictions, like division or square roots, the interval notation clearly shows which x values are allowed. Remember, the key symbols are a b for all numbers between a and b, excluding the endpoints, a b for including both endpoints, a b or a b for including one endpoint but not the other, and for unbounded intervals, use -infinity or infinity with parentheses. Using interval notation helps you communicate exactly which input values work for the function. It makes understanding the behavior of the function easier, especially when graphing. When you see the domain written as an interval, you instantly know where the graph exists and where it does not. It's a simple, effective way to describe the set of all valid x values for any linear relationship or function.